the danger to democracy. Here's my real worry, David, that if the charge sheet against the government is as bad as it is, then you'd have thought that the opposition, the choice in a democracy, would be surging ahead. It's neck and neck in the polls, with neither Tories nor Labour much above the mid-30s, whereas public dissatisfaction is rocketing.
Yeah, there's an interesting aspect to this, and you're right to raise this question, Alistair. Now, how much of this... I think there are two issues here. One, there is, if you like, the sort of sleaze side of it, but I think there is also a degree in which politics is realigning, and you have got a group of voters who don't feel particularly attached to either the Conservative Party or the Labour Party. The Conservatives have changed and have now picked up the support of people who previously voted Labour, but the Labour Party hasn't changed, so it's picking up the support of former Conservative voters. So I think to some extent, our whether that's because of our first past the post system, but we've got a system with two parties and quite a lot of people feeling that neither of those parties is quite for them. And I think what happened, particularly in 2019, is a lot of people ended up voting Conservative because they didn't want Jeremy Corbyn. They weren't necessarily that enthusiastic about Boris Johnson, but my God, they didn't want Jeremy Corbyn. And I think the Labour Party is still suffering from that. I think it's still the fact that they're suffering from long Corbyn, and that is holding them back very significantly.
Yeah. On that point of options, and you've dabbled a toe in the water of alternative parties and groupings and what have you yourself, but you and I are old enough to remember that when Labour was really in the mire, along came the SDP, changed everything. Labour reformed itself and then went on to succeed. There aren't many examples other than that of an alternative party coming along. Part of my thesis, and part of what really worries me, is that it's the extreme left, like the Corbynistas, or the extreme right, who see the current climate as being an opening for them, not a grouping like yours or Tice's party or someone like that, but the real hardliners, left and right.
Well, potentially that might happen. I mean, I think you can argue that to some extent the Conservatives have closed down any space to their right, and so they united the right in 2019, and they've not allowed a space to open up there. So to that extent, it's hard to see where they would, where a right-wing party would break through. On the left, I mean, I think there isn't a huge appetite for a hard left party in this country, and in truth, the Labour Party needs to go further to disassociate itself from the Corbyn era.